Hey everyone, and welcome to the day 5 of 100 Days of AWS series. I'm your host Mohit, and I welcome you to this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do so that you can be notified for the new videos that I'm posting for this series. So in the previous video, we saw how to create an instance in AWS Lightsail or Amazon Lightsail. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can use SSH to connect to that instance. Now this is a day 5 checklist. We are going to understand key exchanges, understand SSH and how SSH works, and then use the key pair to log in to that instance. So first and foremost question, why you need SSH, right? Now let's talk about the thing, what SSH is useful for. There are a couple of ways where you can authenticate to a website, right? And this is a requirement of client to server communication. So if I talk about this in a client server communication, so there's a requirement that server should know who the client is, and that is the requirement of authentication. Okay, so server needs to authenticate the client, and you would have seen, right, for example, in our AWS console, we created our username and password. So that is one form of authentication. If we talk about the types of authentication, there is username and password, and you already know about this, right? And you can secure it by using either a two-factor authentication. Is based on a concept, right? Something you know, that is your password, and something you have, such as your mobile number, mobile phone, as well as authenticator app. Now the next level of it is multi-factor authentication, which involves another authenticating mechanism, such as your biometric login or something else related to which can be used as an authentication system. The other way of authentication apart from username and password is public key authentication, which is very important and very prevalent in these days, and I'm going to talk about and explain you what public key authentication is. And the third part is single sign-on, which probably you would have seen, right? You go to any website and you have option to sign in using Google and Facebook, etc. That is a part of single sign-on where you can sign on these websites using the Google authentication or Facebook authentication. Now let's talk about what is SSH. So coming back to this part, if you want to log into any remote server through command line interface or through terminal, you have two options. Either you can use telnet or you can use SSH. So telnet is unsecured protocol, SSH is a secure protocol. If you are logging to any server and you are trying to access the command line over telnet, any person in middle can listen to the web traffic and see what you are trying to do. So you can capture the traffic and understand what you are trying to do, what commands you are using, and what is the output of the server. So we need a secure mechanism to connect, and SSH is the secure mechanism. As you know, there are two requirements now. First is authentication, that is server knows who the client is, and second is that the communication between server and client should be encrypted. That is, nobody in between should be able to listen to that communication and decrypt what is going on, what types of command you are firing, what is the output of the server. So that's why you need a stronger mechanism, which SSH provides. Now what happens in SSH or secure shell, you have a key exchange. Now to understand keys, there are two types of keys. One is the symmetric key, which is something similar to password. You have a password, right? For example, if we talk about console access, you created your password, all right? That password is also stored in the server, and that password is what you know in your mind, or probably you have saved in any password manager. Now what happens when you log in, you provide your password, that password is hashed and is compared to what has been stored in a hash form in the database. And once both of them are equal or matched, you have an authentication. So this is something similar to symmetric key. Symmetric key means both of the server and client has the same key, which is something similar to password. The other one is asymmetric key. Now asymmetric is very interesting concept. Now what happens in asymmetric key, I will explain you with this analogy of a piggy bank. All right. Suppose you have a piggy bank, okay, and using that piggy bank, you have given a password 12345 so that anyone can open that piggy bank and input money or insert money into that piggy bank. So you have installed the piggy bank and into a public place, and you have provided the instruction. Okay, so if you want to put some money, type in the password 12345 and you would be able to put some money. But only you have the key to open that piggy bank, and that is 6789. So now this key is called public key, which you have provided so that they can open and put some money. That is, they can use the public key for encryption. And then the other key that you have, 6789, is the private key that you only know, and that's why it is secure. You can decrypt the message or you can take out the money from that piggy bank. So let's talk about this. What happens in case of SSH? So you have downloaded a private key. We have downloaded the Singapore SSH key pair. That is our private key. Now what happens? We will ask to the server that I'm going to start a new SSH session. So what will happen? The server will send acknowledge and you will try to authenticate. Okay, is this the server? And then you will save that key in your known host file. Okay, I have saved a known host file. So that is the authentication part. And next would be the key exchange, where the server will share you a key generated using the public key, and you will use that key to encrypt the communication. I'll show you with this example. We are going to use this Singapore SSH keypair.pem, and I've already downloaded it in my downloads folder. So I will just copy it from downloads, sorted downloads, Singapore, and I will use the same name. So I've copied my key here in this folder AWS, and you can see the permission are different. This one I've used for previous video. So what I will do, I will just do a chmod 600 and Singapore this. So this is something similar. What you can do, if you are on Windows system, right click and select read only, and it would be read only and nobody would be able to change it. Similarly, if you want to make it read only in Linux, you have to remove the permission from this is the group triad and this is the triad for world. So once I remove this permission, it would be read only, read write only by me, that is the user, and the permission is specifically no other can read it and no other can write it as well. So the username is Bitnami and this is the password. This is the IP address. So this is the format. So once we are going through the EC2 instances as well, you are going to use the same method to log into the EC2 instance as well. So you can see this is my IP address, IPv4 address. I'm using it to communicate, and this is my username. So this is username @IP address, and then this is the key, or kind of the private key, which would be used for the communication. Now to show you how the communication is happening, I would be using Wireshark. I will just launch Wireshark here, and what I will do inside my wireless, I will just filter for any SSH traffic. So right now you can see there is no SSH traffic. Let's log into my, and all right. So the first thing it asked me, okay, that you have asked me to connect to this IP address. I cannot authenticate it. It is a fingerprint. This is the fingerprint. Are you sure you want to connect to this server? So I am going to authenticate. Okay, I'm trying to log into this server, which is here, 54.251.156.13, and I will just select yes. And what it will do, it will save it to the known host list, and I will just show you what is this known host list. SSH directory inside known host, you will have one more entry added for the current host that you're trying to access. So next time you log in, it will not ask you whom you are trying to connect. All right, and then once you log in, you would be able to see that you are already there inside this. So you have actually logged in, authenticated, encrypted the communication, and logged in. So let's see how the things happened behind the scene. So this is the communication. I can show you by flow graph. All right. So the first message was from client that I'm going to use SSH, and it initiated from a transient port 3 times 8 to port 22, which is the port for SSH. And then there was the acknowledgement from the server. So if you see the packet here, this is a client to server, and this is server to client. All right, next packet is key exchange init. So it will ask for a key exchange. Okay, it will acknowledge the key exchange, and it will provide the method, which method is going to be used for key exchange, and then server will provide the key signed by the public key. So here, after here, it will get the new keys and the communication will start. So that's why this communication is encrypted. Now, if I go to the last packet, 803, And if I go to my server and type a command, you can see the next communication is from the client to server, and this is the encrypted form of my ls command. And then there is the response from the server. This is the response. So I cannot make any sense out of it because these packets are encrypted, and if anyone is trying to capture these packets and read them, they wouldn't be able to make any sense out of them. So this is how SSH is much more secure compared to Telnet, and that's how you should use SSH when you're connecting to a remote server. So go ahead and try it out. Connect to your Lightsail based instance or EC2 based instance, whatever you are using. And if you have any queries, you can ask me in Discord. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and in case you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so that you are notified for the new videos. And I will see you tomorrow with another video in this series, and we'll see how to install application and how to manage the Lightsail instance.